Hey, everybody, it's Dr. Connie here. Welcome to our podcast, Mind Your Health. Today, we're going to uncover all the misconceptions about yoga and autoimmunity. Because really, at the end of the day, I used to have reservations about practicing yoga because of all the reasons, mainly my religious one. And I had lots of friends from church that really told me not to do it anyway, that it would deter me from my religious faith. And I just want to uncover the myths about that and how it can truly help you to step into being the healthiest version of yourself. Because I really feel that autoimmunity has become this big stigma of negativity. It's all about the brokenness. But I just want you to know that autoimmunity has been the biggest gift that allowed me to really self-reflect and really become more self-aware, and so that I can love myself enough to have healthy boundaries around me to really dictate exactly what my body needs. And I've been closest to myself than I've ever been. And I believe that that is key to having really a joyful life, healthy life. And I'll explain to you what this means. But first, I want to go over what we know about autoimmunity, right? Let's refresh our knowledge about autoimmunity. It's important to note that there are 80 different autoimmune diseases. And according to the NIH, autoimmune diseases affect more than 24 million people in the United States alone. But it's all over the world, right? An additional 8 million people have autoantibodies, which have not been diagnosed as autoimmunity, which indicate a person's chance of developing autoimmunity, right? So the American Autoimmune Related Disease Association, also known as the AARDA, estimates that number is closer to 50 million people who are undiagnosed, who have autoantibodies waiting to be diagnosed with autoimmunity. I was that person once 22 years ago as well. So what exactly is the cause of autoimmunity? Well, there are so many triggers for autoimmune disease, including stress, diet, lack of exercise, insufficient sleep, and smoking. Anything that causes chronic inflammation in the body can eventually lead to the development of an autoimmune disease, which could be one reason they are becoming widely increased, right? All over the world, increasing numbers of autoimmunity. Can't talk today. Studies indicate that these diseases likely result from interactions between genetic and environmental factors. Gender, race, and ethnicity characteristics are also linked to likelihood of developing an autoimmune disease. And stress is the number one factor in triggering autoimmunity. And stress is really fight or flight, which is a sympathetic response. And I'll explain what that sympathetic within the autonomic nervous system really means, okay? And how it's related to the practice of yoga and how you can control the downplay of the sympathetic nervous system, which is causing inflammation in your body. The problem with autoimmunity is that autoimmune diseases are notorious for being so difficult to identify and diagnose. And many patients suffer for years without a medical diagnosis, at least 5 on the average. The truth is that our immune response is so complex, we haven't even begun to fully understand it, okay? Most of you have the following symptoms that come and go, and you don't know why. There's no rhyme or reason. There's fatigue, pain, rash, anemia, brain fog, which limit your functional ability to live day to day. Declining functional ability robs you of your livelihood, affecting your income, career, relationships, and due to stress from all of the above, your health is affected. And really at the core, it's inflammation, which is considered the ultimate trigger for autoimmunity. And what exactly is inflammation? Well, it's when the immune system reacts to a clear body of whatever it is that caused the disease in the body, mainly stress. And really, stress is the root cause of autoimmunity as well as other common chronic illnesses. So how does stress affect your body? Here it's the autonomic nervous system. It's got two divisions. One is sympathetic, the other one is parasympathetic. Sympathetic is the fight or flight, the stress response. Parasympathetic is more regenerative repair, zen, and calm. Okay? Sympathetic is when the body thinks you're in danger. It releases highly inflammatory hormones and chemicals in the body to enable you to be ready to flee when you need it. It's like the high levels of cortisol. You're like ready to go. But the problem is that you're not threatened by impending danger. You're not going to die, but your body thinks it is. So that stressful state is causing you so much anxiety, a lot of physiological symptoms through the way of psychosomatic disorder, right? And I'll explain more about that later, okay? It can cause anxiety, depression, pain, insomnia, and all the things that are common to what? Autoimmunity. So we need balance, you guys. But the options for autoimmunity are all things outside of us, right? Things like taking medications, supplements, changing the diet, exercising, or getting acupuncture or chiropractic adjustments or whatever, right? And food sensitivities are all the things that limit you. All the things that are available for you are limiting to the progress of your health. Do you agree that most autoimmune treatments and interventions really focus on the disease, right? Focusing on what you should be scared of and changing lifestyle and behavior to limit things like processed foods, avoid the sun, you can't do this, you can't do that, right? All the things. Don't overdo it. Work in moderation, whatever that means. It's all about limiting your ability to live your life to the fullest, right? Can you hire an expert for this? Like the functional medical doctor, nutritionist, or even a physical therapist? Yeah, but it costs lots of money. And sometimes it takes a lot of time away from your family. So as for the diet, most popular option to change for, which is the most popular option to change autoimmunity or heal from autoimmunity, whether it's plant-based, autoimmune paleo, keto, Whole30, you've heard of Anthony Williams and the celery juice, the medical medium, which are all research-based and evidence-based, but also they contradict one another. So how are you supposed to know and choose what's best for your diet, right? They seem to do miraculous things. I agree. And I do believe nutrition is important. But why hasn't it cured everyone for good? The numbers of autoimmune cases are still on the rise despite, and I know many people who's followed suit, gotten some results, but it works until it doesn't work because they're not changing from the inside out. They're just trying something superficially. And when we do that by virtue of human nature, it's not sustainable because we need inspiration, motivation to keep going. We need the ability to really read into ourselves and really receive the signals that our nervous system is giving us. And most of you and us, we don't know how to do that. So I want you to understand that knowledge precedes experience. You guys are learning a lot. And when you have contradictory information, your brain goes, oh, I don't know what to follow. I'm just in overwhelm. I don't know what to do, right? But that's because you're receiving all the knowledge without actually experiencing it, applying the knowledge, right? So how are you supposed to know without even trying? But what happens when we're full of fear on top of that? Well, you don't do anything. You tend to shift to the lowest part of your brain, which is called the primitive brain or the amygdala. It's how most animals make decisions, not based on intellect and logic, but simply because of fear. Just it's a reflex, right? So you don't think, you just do. Even if it's endangering you and causing you more harm, it doesn't know because it's what it knows what to do. And that's why we perpetuate the same thing over and over again. Over time, you realize that treatments themselves perpetuate stress. Treatments specific for autoimmunity perpetuate stress and dis-ease because of the contradictions, because of so much limiting things. Knowledge, you remember, as I said, is a precursor to the experience. We gain knowledge through our mind, but in order to have the benefit, we must experience it. How do we experience it? Well, our mind does not make decisions, right? Like I said, based on logic. So we have to keep going. We have to sort of put things into our practice. And what better way than yoga through the movement, connecting your breath through the movement and moving easily, contrary to popular belief that it's hard, you need to be flexible, you need this, and it's intimidating. Well, I start you off in chair yoga, seated on a chair, and get you to really connect your mind to your body. It's not about you judging yourself against everybody else. It's not supposed to look a certain way. You just do the things to help your body. I've lived with autoimmunity for 22 years. And on top of that, I'm a practitioner of health, wellness, and prevention. And because of that, I've tried everything under the sun. And this is why I believe yoga is the fastest and most effective way to really feel better fast with autoimmunity and really repair yourself from the disease and recover. When I believed I was in full remission and I thought I was healed completely, I had this unforeseeable life circumstance called COVID come my way and completely destroyed my remission to a point where I lost all functional ability. I was debilitated for months. Like most of you, I've tried everything under the sun, but I do believe after 22 years, I've got this figured out. There's phases to autoimmunity. There is the symptoms phase where you're undiagnosed and it's a very highly volatile state of being because you keep having symptoms, but your labs are still normal. Your doctors don't diagnose you. They wait until it's so bad that you're highly diseased that it shows up on the lab. That's the volatility symptomatic phase. And then there is the diagnostic phase where you do find out you have a certain autoimmune antibodies and you are diagnosed. And because you're given some medications, heavy duty medications, things become stable again. And you mentally are so glad you found out that this is not a deadly disease. It's a little bit inconvenient. It shows up differently for everybody, right? It's tolerable, it's manageable is what you're told, but it's incurable, okay? That's the disease phase. It's stable, but it's with medication. The third phase is flare-up phase, where it's highly volatile again. You don't know what triggered it. It might be stress, it might be food, whatever it is, something triggered it. It might be some type of flu, COVID, whatever. You get sick again, you can't retain it. There's a lot of volatility. There's a lot of symptoms. Sometimes your lungs get damaged, your kidneys get damaged, your heart gets damaged, you have rashes all over, lose all your hair, whatever it looks like. It's very volatile and severe, okay? And then you come to a remission. And that's where you find your health and ease again. And you think things are good. And that's where you apply all the dietary interventions and herbals and do all the things because all of a sudden you're able to do those things, right? And that's when you feel like, oh, this diet works, that diet works, until you go back, regress to flare-ups again, and then back and forth. Many people stay in that phase of flare-up as well as remission, back and forth after the symptoms, diagnoses, and flare-up and remission. But where I want to get you is to a state of health and vitality beyond the autoimmunity, where you're so far ahead that antibodies can't touch you. You become so aligned, mind and body, that everything works in harmonious ways. Because to me, stress, if the stress is the biggest factor, and stress is something that you drive through your thoughts and feelings, how can other things like the experts fix you externally? They can't. Only you can do it if you're enrolled. That's like claiming to exercise, or they exercise on your behalf for you to get more fit, but they can't do that. It's like bringing the horse to the water. We can bring the horse to the water, a thirsty horse, but unless they drink the water, there's not much we can do, right? I hope it's making sense. Nobody can do the thing for you, and dietary changes are marginal because everything works until it doesn't. You have to change on the inside to make the lasting changes to go towards health and vitality so far above the autoimmunity that you can't go back to having flares again. That's where I want you, and no better way than the practice of yoga. Why? Why? Yoga is your opportunity for growth and awareness. And when you become self-aware, you learn to connect your breath with your movements. Movement really strengthens and gets your musculoskeletal system, the largest organ of your body, fit and strong, so that it can be inspired and motivated to apply all the things like the dietary changes and all the things with awareness of what the body is telling you. That's being really attentive to the receptor sites to understand what foods are good. Not only that, yoga allows you to focus on the fundamentals of your health, which is mind-body alignment. There is no faster and the most efficient way to really reverse your autoimmunity and thrive because of autoimmunity than yoga, for this reason. And that's why I highly emphasize the mind-body alignment that brings healthy state of being. Healthy, redefined, because nobody knows what healthy is. Most people think, I don't have any abnormal labs. Doctors say I'm healthy, but you have to feel healthy. We have a different alkaline metric that measures different things to really understand how healthy you are. And it looks very differently than what you think. Healthy stands for harmonious, ease, not disease, but ease. A is for awareness, L is for love, T is for truth, H is for healing, and Y is for you. And once you reach the healthy state through the practice of yoga, going deeper within to understand you and understand how your body is designed to move to really facilitate strength and fitness for your mind and your body, because everything you do physically, once you become strong, everything translates into your mindful strength as well. And so that's why you gain so much benefit from it. But more importantly, scientifically, it affects the autonomic nervous system to shift from that fight or flight into the parasympathetic, the regenerative, common Zen, simply by being aware of your body. Because let's face it, psychosomatic disorder is what autoimmunity is. And it's very similar, especially in the symptomatic phase. Because psychological condition involving psychosomatic disorder is psychological condition involving the occurrence of physical symptoms, usually lacking medical explanation. And people with this condition may have excessive thoughts, feelings, or concerns about the symptoms, which affects their overall health. Think inflammation from stress response. Think stress response tied to the autonomic nervous system, specifically the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight stress response. So I want you to understand how psychosomatic disorder appears is, think about a time when you had to go in front of a large audience and speak. Do you remember having blood pressure issues, blood pressure rising up, heart rate goes up, you have clammy hands because you're so nervous and sweating profusely? That's a physiological response due to a mental stress. Or if I were to squeeze lemon, like if I said, close your eyes and imagine me squeezing lemon juice into your mouth, don't you salivate? This is an imagined mental state creating a physiological response. If that can be true, it translates into what happens for autoimmunity. Too much stress response affects our neurochemicals and highly inflammatory hormones like cortisol to be really infusing our body. It wreaks havoc within. Over time, that creates that stress response, leads to inflammation, which leads to immune system disorder like autoimmune response or other chronic illnesses. So your yoga is your opportunity for growth and awareness. And unless you change, nothing else changes because your stress level is intimate to you. The only person who can be cognizant of it or aware of it is you. So really rethink yoga. And yoga as a tool is hugely beneficial for autoimmunity. So that's why I'm hosting the 5-day Mind Body Fitness Challenge in my small group. So click the link below to sign up so that you can join us, where I describe everything in detail, plus show you how to exactly get fit and strong by practicing some of the key physical skills that are fundamental, so you'll always know how to be empowered to heal yourself. Thanks so much for watching. And if you have not done so, please find me on Instagram as well as TikTok at Dr. Connie Cheung, as well as follow us on or subscribe to our podcast, Mind Your Health. Thanks so much. And I'll see you guys all next week. Bye for now.